The crystalline chamber of the Galactic Space Council hummed with activity. 24 alien representatives sat around a large round table, each from different star systems. They gathered for their monthly meeting about expanding their influence across the galaxy. Counselor Tavik stood up. His blue scales caught the light as he moved toward the central projector. "We have found a new planet in Sector 87C, he said, pressing a button. A hologram of Earth appeared, floating above the table. "It appears to have intelligent life." The other council members leaned forward with interest. Discovering new species was always exciting, especially ones that hadn't yet reached the stars. "Our scans show they have basic space technology, but nothing beyond their own moon," Tavik continued. "Perfect candidates for our protectorate program." The council nodded in agreement. They had done this hundreds of times before. Find developing worlds, offer protection and guidance, and slowly introduce them to galactic society. It was their way. "I will lead the first contact team," said Zol, a being who looked like shimmering blue jelly. "We should arrive in 3 days." 3 days later, Zol's diplomatic ship entered Earth's orbit. The crew expected simple radio greetings or perhaps primitive rocket ships coming to meet them. What they found instead shocked them all. A fully functional space station orbited Earth. Small ships moved between Earth, the Moon, and what appeared to be bases on Mars. This was not a primitive civilization. "Incoming transmission," said Zol's communications officer. A human woman appeared on their screen. She wore a simple black uniform with 5 silver stars on the collar. Her hair was pulled back tightly, and her expression was calm but serious. "This is Director Park of Earth Space Command. We welcome the Galactic Council representatives to our solar system. We've been expecting you." Zol's body rippled with surprise. "How did you know we were coming?" Director Park smiled slightly. "We've been monitoring your communication networks for quite some time. Your encryption is interesting, but not unbreakable." The aliens looked at each other in shock. Their quantum encryption was supposed to be impossible to crack. "We would like to invite your delegation to Earth," continued Director Park. "There's something we'd like to show you." 2 days later, 6 council representatives stood in a massive underground facility beneath the Pacific Ocean. The cavern was enormous, carved out of solid rock. In the center floated a strange ship unlike anything the aliens had ever seen. It was sleek and black, about 200 meters long. Its hull seemed to swallow light rather than reflect it. No visible engines, weapons, or even windows disrupted its smooth surface. Commander Kim, a tall man in the same black uniform as Director Park, gestured toward the vessel. "This is the HSS Daehoon. Our first operational dark matter warship." "Dark matter?" asked Tavik, his scales changing color with his disbelief. "That's purely theoretical. No one has been able to interact with dark matter, let alone build ships with it." Commander Kim simply smiled. "Perhaps your theories need updating, Counselor." Director Park stepped forward. "We discovered the key to dark matter manipulation through what you might call a happy accident. A mathematical anomaly in quantum entanglement experiments led us down an unexpected path." "Impossible," whispered Zol. "Our civilizations have studied this for thousands of years." "Sometimes fresh eyes see what others miss," said Director Park. "Would you like a demonstration?" The aliens were taken to an observation room with a wall of windows overlooking a massive test chamber. Inside, the Daehoon hovered silently. "Beginning phase shift test," announced a voice over speakers. The black ship began to shimmer. Its outline became blurry, then transparent. Then, in an instant, it vanished completely. "Where did it go?" demanded Tavik. "Nowhere," replied Commander Kim. "It's still exactly where it was. But now it exists partially in dark matter space, a parallel layer of reality that overlaps our own." As he spoke, the ship reappeared, but not completely. It was semi-transparent, like a ghost. "In this state," explained Director Park, "conventional weapons pass right through it. And when fully shifted, it can move through solid matter or travel vast distances almost instantly." The implications stunned the alien representatives. Such technology would make human ships untouchable, unstoppable. It would change the balance of power in the galaxy overnight. "We don't share this to threaten you," said Director Park, noticing their concerned faces. "But to prepare you. We're ready to join your galactic community as equals, not as protectorates." The council members exchanged glances. This first contact was unlike any they had experienced before. Humans weren't just another species to guide. They were a power to reckon with. And they had just changed everything. The alien council members stood nervously on the observation deck of their massive ship. Through the large viewing window, they could see Earth below them, a blue and white marble suspended in black space. In the distance, the tiny shape of the HSS Daehoon waited. "We still believe this is some kind of trick," said Counselor Tavik, his scales now a doubtful purple color. "Dark matter technology cannot be real." Director Park smiled politely. She had heard these doubts for 2 days now. "Captain Lee will begin the demonstration shortly. I suggest you watch closely." A communication screen flickered to life. Captain Lee's face appeared. He was younger than many expected for such an important position, with calm eyes and a confident expression. "This is Captain Lee of the HSS Daehoon. We will now demonstrate phase-shifting technology. Please monitor your sensor equipment." The aliens activated their advanced scanning devices. These machines could detect everything from heat signatures to quantum fluctuations. They would surely reveal whatever human deception was at work. Beginning phase shift in 3, 2, 1. The Daehoon began to change. Its solid black hull started to shimmer like a mirage on a hot road. The effect spread until the entire ship seemed to waver in and out of reality. Then, without warning or sound, it simply vanished. "A cloaking device," said Counselor Vereen dismissively, her 7 tentacles waving in a pattern that indicated disbelief. "Advanced, but nothing special." Director Park said nothing. She merely pointed to the alien sensor readings. They showed no trace of the ship, not heat, not mass, not energy. It was as if the Daehoon had ceased to exist entirely. "Where?" began Zal, but he was interrupted by gasps from the other council members. On their main viewing screen, they could now see the orbit of Venus. The Daehoon had appeared there, 7 million kilometers away, in an instant. "Impossible," whispered Tavik. "No vessel could traverse that distance so quickly." "By partially entering dark matter space," explained Director Park, "our ships can move through what you might call a shortcut in reality. The physics are complex, but the application is simple." Captain Lee's voice came through again. "We will now demonstrate defensive capabilities." One of the council members, a reptilian being called Kraz, had been silent until now. His species was known for their military might and suspicious nature. Suddenly, he barked an order in his native language. Before anyone could react, energy beams shot from the council ship toward the distant Daehoon. Director Park didn't even flinch. The weapons, powerful enough to destroy a small moon, struck the human vessel directly. But instead of exploding, the Daehoon shimmered again. The energy beams passed straight through it as if firing at a ghost. "Counselor Kraz," said Director Park calmly, "was that really necessary?" Kraz hissed in frustration. "Your ship should be destroyed. Nothing can survive a direct hit from our primary weapons." "Nothing in normal space," corrected Director Park. "But the Daehoon isn't fully in normal space right now. It exists partially in dark matter space, where your energy weapons have no effect." The council members fell silent. The implications were staggering. A fleet of ships with this technology would be unstoppable. They could appear anywhere, strike without warning, and vanish before anyone could respond. And they would be invulnerable to conventional attacks. Hours later, the council representatives gathered in a conference room aboard their ship. Human scientists had joined them to answer questions. Chief Scientist Yoon, a woman with short gray hair and patient eyes, stood before a holographic display. "How did humans discover this technology?" asked Zal. "Your species has only been spacefaring for less than a century." "It was an accident," said Yoon. 20 years ago, we were studying quantum entanglement. All spacefaring races study quantum entanglement, interrupted Vereen. Yes, but we approached it differently, continued Yoon. One of our mathematicians, Dr. Han, noticed a pattern in the equations that everyone else had overlooked. When we explored that pattern, it led us to understand how dark matter could be manipulated. And you immediately built weapons, said Kraz, his voice full of accusation. We built ships, corrected Captain Lee, who had returned from the Daehoon. Ships that can also protect themselves. There's a difference. The tension in the room was thick. Some council members looked frightened, others angry, and a few seemed impressed. What do humans want from the Galactic Council? Asked Tavik finally. Director Park stepped forward. We want what every species wants: security, prosperity, and the freedom to determine our own future. We're not looking to dominate or threaten anyone. But we will defend ourselves if necessary. As the meeting concluded, the council members filed out, whispering among themselves. They knew they would need to report this development to their homeworlds immediately. The balance of power in the galaxy had just shifted dramatically. And humanity was now a force that could not be ignored. News of humanity's dark matter technology spread quickly across the galaxy. Within weeks, every world in the Galactic Council knew about the strange ships that could vanish and reappear at will. The Council called an emergency meeting to decide how to respond to this new power. The Grand Hall of the Council Station was packed with representatives from all 24 member species. The normal calm and order had given way to shouting and arguments. The humans cannot be trusted with such power, roared General Drac, pounding his armored fist on the table. His species, the Thoraxians, resembled large insects with metallic exoskeletons. They barely left their own planet, and already they possess technology that threatens us all. They have shown no aggression, countered Ambassador Elia, her delicate features glowing with a soft blue light. We should extend friendship rather than suspicion. The debate raged for days. Slowly, 3 distinct groups formed within the council. The first group wanted to make alliances with humans. The second feared Earth and wanted to isolate it. The third, led by the Draconid Imperium, wanted human technology for themselves. Supreme Commander Vex of the Draconid Imperium had no patience for debate. His reptilian species had conquered 12 star systems before reluctantly joining the council. Now he saw an opportunity. Talking achieves nothing, he told his officers aboard his flagship. We will take what we need. The Draconids sent their best spies to Earth's moon, where humans had built their main research facility. The plan was simple: steal the dark matter technology and escape. What they didn't know was that human dark matter sensors could detect movement between dimensions. The moment the Draconid agents phase shifted into the facility, alarms sounded. Director Park received the news in her office on Earth. How many? She asked. 20 Draconid Special Forces, replied her assistant. They've already stolen research data and killed 3 scientists. Park's expression hardened. Alert Captain Choi. Deploy the response fleet. When the Draconid battle fleet arrived 6 hours later to extract their agents, they expected an easy victory. Their 100 ships surrounded Earth, weapons ready. The humans had only a handful of ships in orbit. Surrender your technology and accept our rule, demanded Supreme Commander Vex over an open channel. Or we will destroy your cities one by one. The response came quickly. 5 small human vessels emerged from Earth's shadow. They were tiny compared to the massive Draconid warships. This is Captain Choi of the Earth Defense Fleet, came a calm voice. Your forces have invaded sovereign human territory and murdered our people. Withdraw immediately or face consequences. The Draconid commander laughed, his scaled face appearing on screens across human command centers. You send 5 ships against our 100? Your bravery is amusing, but foolish. This is your final warning, said Captain Choi simply. The Draconids opened fire. Their energy weapons lit up space with brilliant colors as they targeted the 5 human ships. But the humans weren't there anymore. They had phase shifted. Suddenly, the Daehoon appeared inside the shield perimeter of the Draconid flagship. It solidified just enough to allow a boarding team to enter before shifting again, becoming untouchable. Similar actions happened across the Draconid fleet. Human ships appeared inside shielded areas, disabled key systems, and vanished before the aliens could respond. On the bridge of his ship, Supreme Commander Vex watched in horror as system after system failed. Weapons, engines, life support all shutting down. "What's happening?" he demanded. His question was answered when Captain Choi materialized on the bridge, surrounded by a squad of soldiers. They wore sleek armor that seemed to flicker between solid and transparent. "Your fleet is disabled," said Captain Choi. "Your invasion has failed." 20 minutes after it began, the battle was over. The mighty Draconid fleet floated powerless in Earth orbit. Not a single human ship had been destroyed, and not a single Draconid had been killed. Captain Choi's message was broadcast across all Council frequencies: humanity desires peaceful cooperation with all species, but we will defend ourselves if threatened. Remember what happened here today. The news shocked the galaxy. The Draconid Imperium, one of the most feared military powers, had been defeated without losing a single ship. In the aftermath, the Council split further. 7 species immediately proposed alliances with Earth, impressed by both human technology and their restraint in victory. 6 others, including the Thoraxians, cut all ties with humanity and retreated into isolation. Director Park sat in her office, reading reports of the various reactions across the galaxy. Was it necessary to humiliate them so completely, she asked. Admiral Han nodded firmly. Yes. The galaxy respects strength. We showed ours while still showing mercy. That sends the right message. As they spoke, representatives from friendly council races were already arriving on Earth to discuss treaties and trade agreements. Humanity had established itself as a major power in a single day. But neither Park nor Han noticed the small probe watching Earth from the edge of the solar system, a probe that wasn't from any council race. Something else had taken notice of humanity's new technology. And it was coming. 6 months after the Draconid incident, strange reports began coming in from the outer worlds of council space. Colony after colony went dark, with final transmissions describing strange energy readings and ghostly lights. Rescue ships found only empty settlements, with no signs of battle but no people either. The Council, which had spent months arguing about humanity, suddenly faced a new crisis. In desperation, they called an emergency session and formally invited Earth to attend. Director Park and Admiral Han traveled to the Council station aboard the HSS Daehoon. When they arrived, the usual political tensions were forgotten. Fear filled the chamber instead. 17 colonies have been attacked, explained Councillor Tavik, his scales a pale gray color of distress. Over 2 million people are missing. Our weapons seem useless against whatever this is. Admiral Han exchanged a knowing look with Director Park before speaking. Show us the sensor readings from the attacks. When the data appeared on the main screen, Director Park's expression grew grim. It's as we feared. You're dealing with what we call the emergence. You know these creatures, demanded Councillor Vereen. Admiral Han nodded. We've been fighting them in secret for 20 years. They exist primarily in dark matter space and can partially cross into our reality. They feed on energy, including the energy of living beings. A shocked silence filled the chamber. Finally, Ambassador Elia asked the question everyone was thinking: why didn't you warn us? Would you have believed us? Director Park asked simply. Without proof? Without understanding dark matter science yourselves? The truth was uncomfortable but clear. The Council would have dismissed human warnings as primitive superstition or, worse, as a trick to justify their military buildup. These creatures are why we developed our dark matter technology in the first place, continued Admiral Han. Our ships can follow them into their space and fight them there. Will you help us? Asked Tavik. Yes, said Park immediately. But we'll need to work together. Within days, a joint fleet was organized. Human dark matter ships would lead the defense, while modified Council vessels would provide support. At the heart of this new alliance was the HSS Aegis, commanded by Captain June, one of Earth's most experienced officers in fighting the emergence. Captain June was younger than most expected, only 34 years old, with short black hair and a serious expression that rarely changed. She had fought the emergence since she was a cadet. The first major battle came at Colony World Thera, where sensors detected a massive emergence force gathering. 12 human ships and 30 Allied Council vessels took up defensive positions. They're drawn to standard energy emissions, Captain June explained during the final briefing. They'll target power plants, shield generators, and population centers first. Our advantage is that we can follow them into their space while our allies protect the colonists. When the emergence came, they appeared as swirling clouds of pale blue light that seemed to eat the darkness around them. Normal weapons passed through them harmlessly. Council ships fired desperately but could only watch as their energy blasts disappeared into the creatures without effect. But the human vessels were ready. As the emergence approached the colony, the HSS Aegis and its sister ships activated their phase drives. They shimmered and partially disappeared, existing in both normal space and dark matter space simultaneously. All ships, engage targets, ordered Captain June. Remember your training. Match their phase state before firing. The human vessels fired weapons unlike anything the Council races had seen before, beams of energy that seemed to bend reality itself. When these struck the emergence, the creatures recoiled and shrieked in a frequency that made communication systems howl with feedback. The battle lasted for hours. Human ships pursued the emergence through both layers of reality, appearing and disappearing from normal sensors. Sometimes they took damage, returning to normal space with sections of their hulls glowing red or venting atmosphere. But they pressed the attack relentlessly. From the colony surface, the battle looked like a strange dance of lights in the sky, normal stars occasionally blocked by invisible forces, flashes of energy appearing from nowhere, and ghostly shapes moving against the blackness. Finally, the emergence retreated. The cost had been high: 3 human ships destroyed and hundreds of crew members lost, but Thera and its 50,000 colonists had been saved. In the aftermath, Earth shared modified versions of their dark matter technology with their most trusted allies. These weren't as advanced as human systems but allowed Council ships to at least see the emergence and affect them with specially tuned weapons. "This is only the beginning," Captain June told her weary crew as they made repairs. "The emergence never stop at one attack. They'll be back, and in greater numbers." As if confirming her words, reports came in of new emergence sightings at the edges of Council space. But this time, the galaxy would not face them unprepared. For the first time in millennia, the Council faced a threat they couldn't handle alone and found humanity standing beside them as equals in the fight for survival. 1,000 ships gathered at the edge of known space, their hulls gleaming in the light of unfamiliar stars. At the center of this massive fleet were 50 human vessels, each bearing the distinctive shimmer of dark matter technology. After months of battles across dozens of worlds, this would be the final confrontation with the emergence. Admiral Hong stood on the bridge of the HSS Challenger, her flagship. She was older than most human commanders, with gray streaks in her black hair and lines around her eyes that spoke of too many battles and too little sleep. "The emergence have gathered their forces here," she explained to the assembled alien commanders on the viewscreen. "Our scouts report their numbers are greater than anything we've faced before. This will be our one chance to end this threat." The plan was simple but dangerous. Human ships would lead the attack, using their phase technology to draw the emergence into carefully planned positions. The modified Council vessels would then strike with their new weapons, specially designed to affect creatures from dark matter space. As the fleet moved into position, Captain Min of the scout ship HSS Pathfinder made a final check of her systems. Her vessel was smaller than the warships, built for speed and stealth rather than combat. Her mission was to gather intelligence during the battle. "All systems ready, Captain," reported her first officer. "Good," said Min. "Remember, we observe only. No heroics today." When the emergence appeared, they came not as the small groups the fleet had faced before, but as a vast cloud that seemed to darken the stars themselves. Millions of the blue-white creatures swarmed together, pulsing with hungry energy. "All ships, commence attack," ordered Admiral Hong. The battle that followed was like nothing the galaxy had ever seen. Human warships phased in and out of normal space, their special weapons tearing holes in the emergence swarm. Council vessels followed in their wake, firing into the gaps with perfect timing. But the emergence fought back fiercely. Several human ships disappeared completely, pulled fully into dark matter space where even their phase technology couldn't save them. Council vessels exploded as the creatures drained their power sources in seconds. Captain Min watched from the edge of the battle, recording everything. That's when her sensors detected something unusual, a smaller group of emergence separating from the main swarm, moving in a pattern too regular to be random. "They're retreating," said her first officer. "No," Min replied, studying the readings. "That's not random flight. That's a formation. They're protecting something." Against orders, Min directed the Pathfinder to follow this group, shifting partially into dark matter space to track them. What she discovered changed everything. In the heart of the smaller swarm was a different kind of emergence entity, larger, more complex, and seemingly injured. The others were protecting it, like bees around a queen. "Get me a dark matter containment field," Min ordered. "We're going to capture that creature." Using the Pathfinder's speed and stealth, they managed to separate the large entity from its protectors and trap it in a special containment field designed to hold dark matter beings. Back on the Pathfinder, the ship's linguists and scientists studied the captured entity. Using specialized equipment, they established rudimentary communication. What they learned stunned them all. "Admiral Hong," Captain Min reported urgently. "The emergents aren't invaders. They're refugees." According to the captured entity, a massive dark energy anomaly was consuming their realm, something they called the Void. They had fled into normal space simply trying to survive, not understanding that the energy they consumed was killing other beings. With this knowledge, Admiral Hong made the boldest decision of the war. She ordered her flagship to follow an emergence scout ship back through dark matter space to see this threat firsthand. What she witnessed was terrifying, a spreading darkness that consumed everything, including dark matter itself. When the combined fleet finally won the battle, it wasn't through destruction but communication. Using what they'd learned, humans helped the Council races establish contact with the emergence. Together, they identified uninhabited systems rich in energy where the emergence could feed without harming sentient beings. 1 year later, representatives from 26 species, the original Council races, humanity, and even a delegation of emergence entities in specially designed containment suits, gathered to sign the charter of the new Galactic Confederation. Director Park, now serving as Earth's High Representative, was the first to sign the document. "Together, we face challenges none of US could overcome alone," she declared. "Dark matter technology will be our foundation, but cooperation will be our strength." That evening, Admiral Hong met secretly with Director Park in a secure room beneath the new Confederation headquarters. "Should we tell them the truth?" asked the Admiral. Director Park touched the small artifact hanging from her neck, an ancient device given to humanity centuries ago by mysterious visitors. The same visitors who had led humans to discover dark matter technology through carefully placed mathematical anomalies. "Not yet," she said quietly. "They're not ready to know that we didn't discover this technology by accident. Or that our benefactors warned us about something far worse than the void waiting beyond the edge of the galaxy." She looked out at the stars, where ships from a dozen worlds moved peacefully alongside emergence entities. "When the time comes to face the true threat, then we'll reveal everything. Until then, let them enjoy this peace. They've earned it." Outside, the first day of the new Galactic Confederation came to an end. A new order had begun, with humanity at its heart, protectors of a galaxy that would never be the same again.